So we'll start seated on our mat so that we can check in with our bodies. Make sure you have a block nearby if you have one. And if you don't have a block, you can roll up a towel or a blanket. We're going to be using it for some heart opening stuff today. So just taking a moment to find your straight aligned spine, let your shoulders relax, let your neck and your jaw relax, close your eyes, take a deep breath in. Big exhale through the mouth. And just take a few breaths to really feel into your body. Notice everything that you're feeling. And then start deepening and slowing the breath down. So ujjayi breathing, if that's a possibility for you this morning. Check in with thought processes. Notice how rapidly or sluggishly the thoughts are moving. Notice the pattern that they're moving in. Actually observe your thoughts for a moment. Notice any emotions that you're feeling as a result of your thoughts. Notice how that might be affecting your energy. And then let's go ahead and set our intention for practice today. So bringing palms together in front of the heart, having checked in with your body, your breath, your mind, and your heart, your energy, you know if there's anything that you would like to alter or change about any of those areas. That's part of what you put into your intention for your practice. When you're clear about your intention, take a deeper breath in. And exhale through the mouth. Let's just release the arms for a moment. Roll the shoulders back a few times. And I want you to do it really slowly. So as you're inhaling, the shoulders are coming up by the ears. As you're exhaling, you're squeezing the shoulders together and pulling them down the back. You're going to feel this already as a little baby heart opener. Inhaling, the shoulders come up. Exhaling, we squeeze the shoulder blades together and pull them down the back. Let's do that one more time. And then we're simply going to come to standing in Tadasana at the front of the mat. So just taking the opportunity to actually ground yourself, root down, allow your feet to connect downward, allow your energy to be centered and rooted, allow your heart to lift up slightly, align your spine, energize the fingers a little bit, take a couple of breaths. And then I want you to inhale and reach your arms up, kind of in a wide pattern rather than straight overhead. Spread your fingers, lift your rib cage up, and if you can, roll the rib cage back slightly, just a little bit. We want to look up, posture of joy. Just let your heart lift, let your heart open, let your gaze be upward, just breathe. And on your next exhale, you can go ahead and bend the knees a little bit as you fold forward, relaxing your neck completely to hang in ragdoll. So we're going to take a few breaths here. Make sure that there's a slight bend in the knees. Make sure your neck is relaxed, that your head is literally just dangling at the end of your spine. You're welcome to sway here or just remain in total stillness. But I want you to focus on how the weight of your head lengthens your spine with every exhale. And then let's just plant fingertips on either side of the toes. Look up and lengthen the spine and then back down. We're going to step back with our right foot this morning. So we have a left foot forward lunge. Just take a moment and allow your hips to relax. Let everything kind of soften. And then drop your right knee down. We're going to raise the arms up and overhead. Tilt the pelvis back, lift the chest, let the hips move forward. And after you've had a breath or two to kind of ease into that right front hip opening, lift your chest up and maybe roll it back a little bit. See what it feels like to let the arms slowly drop open to the sides, palms facing up. See what it feels like to kind of reach the thumbs back a little bit and then bend the elbows as though you're going to squeeze them together behind you. Hands are going to come down on either side of the left foot, gaze forward. Begin to extend your left leg, flex the ankle and toes. And then go ahead and step back to plank position. So I'd like you to lower down knees, chest, and chin and pause for a moment. And notice that if you actually have your tailbone up in the air like you should, this is a baby heart opener. We're going to keep the hands where they are, untuck the toes, and simply pull the chest forward slightly for a low cobra. So the shoulders are down the back, your elbows are pinned into your side, and your heart is pulling forward. And then take your first downward facing dog. So after you've done any initial settling in movements, find stillness here. And after you've had a moment to really reach the hips up and back and the heels down, find focus in your chest. So you should feel an immense amount of space in your upper torso. No compression in the chest and no compression between the shoulder blades. Everything open. Step forward with your right foot. So just hold our lunge for a moment. Let things soften a little bit. Then we'll drop the left knee down. Raise the arms up and overhead. Tilt the pelvis back. Let the hips move forward. See if you can maybe lift the rib cage a tiny bit. Just play with allowing the arms to drop open to the sides, palms up. Reaching the arms back slightly. And beginning to bend the elbows as though you're going to squeeze them together behind you. Hands on either side of the right foot. Gaze forward as you begin to extend your right leg fully. If you can, you flex ankle and toes of the right foot. And then from here, we step forward to our standing forward bend. Pause for a moment. Make sure that your neck is relaxed. So your standing forward bend is a nice counter pose for the heart opening poses that we did in our first warm-up sun salutation. So pause here. And then when you're ready, inhale, reach the arms all the way up and overhead. Maybe lift the chest and roll it back. And then as you exhale, palms together in front of the heart. Pause again to root and ground through the soles of your feet. So basically what we're doing is we're connecting our energy to the earth so that we can also allow it to rise up. Think about trees. They can only rise as high as their roots are deep to support them. So we energetically ground so that our hearts can open and flourish. Let's inhale, reach the arms up and stretch, and then exhale, fold forward. Look up and lengthen the spine, and then back down. This time we're going to step back with the left foot, so we have a right foot forward lunge. If you're able, go ahead and rise on up into a high lunge. You're welcome to drop the left knee if you need to. Maybe lift the rib cage, roll it back slightly. Maybe let the arms come out to the side like we did earlier, palms up. But this time, let's go ahead and interlace the fingers behind the back and squeeze the shoulder blades together. Keep your hands low and kind of slide them down the back of the left thigh a little bit. Keeping fingers interlaced, just spin your left foot flat and go ahead and fold forward for humble warrior. So your right shoulder is on top of your right thigh, your neck is relaxed, the arms are going to reach up and overhead. Gaze forward if you can and begin to straighten the right leg. It's okay if it doesn't go all the way straight. We're just working a little deeper. Try and keep shoulder blades squeezed together. And then simply release your hands to the mat, step back to plank. So as you lower down, I'd like you to lower all the way down to the ground. Untuck your toes. Interlace your fingers behind your back. Squeeze your shoulder blades together. Keep the top of the feet pressing into the mat as you lift your chest and try to slide the hands down below the backside. Release down, downward facing dog. Focus on that sensation of space in the upper torso. Left foot steps forward. Again, if you can, we'll hold the high lunge. Bring the arms up and overhead. Remember, if you need to drop the right knee, please do. Maybe lift the rib cage, roll it back. Maybe let those arms drop open, palms up. This time, interlacing fingers behind the back, squeezing shoulder blades together, keeping the hands down, kind of sliding down the back of the right thigh a little bit. Keeping fingers interlaced. We're simply going to spin the right heel flat. Take left shoulder to left thigh, relax the neck, humble warrior. Keep reaching those arms up towards the ceiling to open up the heart. And then gaze forward and just begin to straighten your left leg. Allow the hands to come down on either side of the left foot. Step forward to your standing forward bend. Inhale, reach the arms up and maybe even back. Exhale, palms together in front of the heart. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, bring your hands behind your back, interlace your fingers again, squeeze your shoulder blades together, this time just folding forward into a standing forward bend, relaxing your neck, really focusing on the squeeze between the shoulder blades and the reaching up and overhead of your interlaced fingers. Inhale, come all the way back up, releasing hands up and overhead. Exhale, full forward bend with fingertips on the ground. Look up and lengthen. And then back down. Step back with your left foot. Spin the heel flat. Come up into warrior one. And so just finding alignment. And then again, searching for that sensation of openness in the chest. We're gonna go ahead and bend the elbows, bend them to about 90 degrees, and simply squeeze them straight back. Once you get that, if you feel balanced enough, roll the rib cage back and maybe even look up. So you're gonna come back up from this, straighten your right leg. I want you to put your right hand at your right hip or waist. Left hand is gonna slide down onto the right shin or foot or maybe even the floor, or you can use your block this morning, but I want you to keep your right hand at your waist. No reaching back. Lengthen your spine. I want you to think about trying to open the chest here. So your right shoulder is rolling up towards the ceiling, maybe even rolling open more. We want to feel it in the chest. We don't want to reach the arm back and mess with the shoulder. I want you to feel this in the right side of your chest. And then bring your hands down. Step back to plank. We're going to go ahead and lower down. This time coming into either cobra or upward facing dog. And pausing. So no hanging out on the ligaments of the elbows. I want you to slightly bend the elbows, pull the shoulders down the back, and pull your heart forward. It works in cobra or up dog, either one. And downward facing dog, and once you're in it, you're feeling for that sensation of space in the upper torso. Left foot's gonna step forward, right foot spins flat. We're coming up into warrior one. So you get yourself set. And then we're gonna start to bend the elbows to about 90 degrees. And then squeeze them back towards each other, opening the heart a little. If you feel like you can, you lift the rib cage, roll it back slightly. Then we're going to come up from that, straighten the left leg. Left hand goes to the left hip or waist and stays there. Right hand is going to go onto the left shin or foot or the floor or a block. And we begin to revolve, trying to get left shoulder and left side of the chest to face the ceiling. So the idea is allowing the torso to do the rotation rather than the shoulder. And then we just bring both hands down, step back to plank position, and lower all the way down to the ground. This time, if you're able, you're gonna reach back and clasp the feet or ankles. Now, if you cannot, You can just interlace your fingers behind your back like we did a couple of vinyasas ago and lift the chest. If you've got the feet or ankles, press back with your feet to lift your heart up. Dhanurasana bow pose. And then release, moving into downward facing dog. From your down dog, drop to your knees. Keep your thighs vertical and begin to extend your arms in front of you for Anahatasana, heart opening pose, melting heart pose. Arms are straight. Chest is sinking towards the mat. Come on up out of that, go straight back into downward facing dog. And then you can either walk or jump forward to your standing forward bend. Pause there for a moment. Remember, this is your counter pose. And then inhale, bring the arms all the way up and overhead. Lift your chest, roll it back. Exhale, palms together in front of the heart. So we're going to do dancer pose, but we're going to do it a little differently, a little non-traditionally. Maybe. Kind of depends on your balance this morning and what your shoulder flexibility is. If you need to hang on to something, then that's what you do. If you can reach back. So we've already done a lot of poses with fingers interlaced behind our back. Basically, we're going to be doing that, but with a foot in the hands. It's a two-handed grab of our foot for dancer. So if you feel like you can do that, fantastic. If you're balance challenged, you could have a shoulder beside a wall, so you've got something to lean on. If your shoulders don't allow you to reach back, then you'll just go one hand at a time, but make sure you get both of them. So we're actually going to stand on the left foot first. I'd like you to reach back and clasp your right foot or ankle, if possible, with both hands. Lift your chest. Tilt your pelvis back. Press your foot straight back to open up the heart. Now, if you want to lean into it, that's fine, but it's unnecessary. What is most important is that you're feeling some leverage, that you're using your leg strength to open your heart. You're pressing those hands back behind you, breathing. And then come on up, and we'll switch sides. Standing on your right foot, reach back if you can to clasp your left foot or ankle, perhaps with both hands. Press the foot behind you. So the idea is to really use your leg strength to open your heart. Come on back up from that. Release the arms. Roll your shoulders back. And then bring your feet together and your palms together at the front of the mat. Inhale, reach your arms up. Exhale, fold all the way forward. Hold your standing forward bend. And then on your next inhale, you'll look up and lengthen. And exhale back down. Step back to plank position. You're going to lower all the way down to the ground again. This time, allow your hands to be back by your hips, palms up. If you can, we're going to raise arms, legs, head, and chest all at the same time. Up you go. And then lower down. Bring your hands under your shoulders, turn the toes under, downward facing dog. Bringing awareness to all of that space in the upper torso. From here, we're going to drop just the right knee down, kick the right foot out to the right a little bit, spin the left heel flat, take the left hand to the ceiling. This is a modified side plank, and we're doing it modified because I want you to really roll your heart open now. See if you can get your sternum, the center of your chest, to face up towards the ceiling. Bring your left hand back down, go back into downward facing dog, press the hips up and back, create space around your heart. Drop the left knee down, kick just the left foot out, spin your right foot flat, right hand towards the ceiling, and then take the opportunity to roll open, trying to get your heart to actually rotate up towards the ceiling. You should feel this as a beautiful chest opener. Right hand comes back down, downward facing dog. Stretch, lengthen. And then you can either walk or jump your feet forward to a standing forward bend. Inhale, reach the arms all the way up and overhead. And as you exhale, palms together in front of the heart. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold all the way forward, fingertips all the way down. Hold your forward bend. Inhale, look up halfway. Exhale, back down. You're stepping back onto hands and knees and coming up to kneeling. So we're going to go into full camel, full Ustrasana. As you know, if your back is tight, you can keep your hands on your hips. You can also turn toes under so your heels are closer. Or if you have a very happy and pliable back, you untuck your toes and you go all the way back. Whatever works for you this morning is what I want you to do. But we start the same way, hands on the hips, because we do not want any compression in the low back, right? So you tilt your pelvis back, you push your hips forward, you lift your chest up, and you just take your time and start rolling the rib cage back. We've been doing this all morning, right? And you see how far your body wants to go. Maybe you reach back to the heels, maybe you don't. Hips continue to move forward. Heart continues to lift. And come all the way back up. I'd like you to go straight into downward facing dog, lengthening your spine, maintaining that space that you just created around your heart. So from this downward facing dog, you're going to shift into plank. You finally get to take the vinyasa of your choice, the vinyasa of your dreams, and we'll meet up in downward facing dog. So from this down dog, we're going to drop to the knees. We're going to come into a really traditional threading the needle, so opening up behind the shoulder blade. I want you to inhale and take your right hand towards the ceiling, and as you exhale, scoop it underneath and really try and use that left hand where it's at to press and roll a little bit for leverage. Let's get the back side of the heart to open a wee bit before we start to power down. Remember to use your breath, particularly with heart openers and upper back openers. Our breath is the most incredible way to enhance and increase a stretch. Come all the way out of that. Inhale the left arm up, and as you exhale, scoop it underneath. Use your right hand where it is to help press and roll for leverage, to open up behind the left shoulder blade, and then use your breath. We're going to come out of that. And then from here, what I'd like you to do is step into plank. Lower all the way down to your stomach, and this time you get to do Sphinx. Yay! So forearms are out in front of you. The heart is pulling forward, just like we've done, but we're going to actually lengthen the spine now. So you've done lots of heart opening in lots of different ways. We're making sure that everything feels open, spacious, lengthened, alive. And then downward facing dog. This is the last downward facing dog. So make sure to take advantage of lengthening your spine to the maximum amount and maintaining all the space around the heart that you've created. And then you can walk your feet forward. Have a seat, and we'll pause for a moment in Dandasana. You're going to want to make sure that you have your block nearby. So we'll do a few forward bends, and then the reward is that we get to do some really nice semi-restorative movements to finish opening the heart. So taking a moment to pause in staff pose and check in. All those areas that I always have you check in. And then today we're going to do our seated forward bend a little differently. Usually I ask you to lengthen out over your legs. Today I'm actually going to ask you to curve and round over them, but I would like for you to move very mindfully because it can be exciting on the neck and upper back. So the first thing we're going to do is Jalandhara Bandha, which is a chin lock. I want you to kind of think about your neck as being like a shepherd's crook, like little Bo Peep's crook, right? You kind of bring the head up and out and then tuck the chin into the notch in your collarbone. Keep it there and very slowly and mindfully start to roll or curl down as though you were going to put the top of your head on your knees. You're going to feel this as a rather noticeable stretch in the upper back and neck. And then come on up from that and just roll the shoulders back. Take your legs into a nice wide V. So if your hips are tight, you're going to have your hands behind you to help you stay on your sit bones. And if that's the case for you, that's fine. For those of you who can maintain posture on the sit bones, we're actually going to interlace the fingers behind the back, like we've been doing a lot of class. Squeeze the shoulder blades together, keep the feet active, lift the heart, lift the arms, and push the chest forward. So we keep those shoulder blades squeezed. We keep the heart opening. Three more breaths here. And come on back up. Release your arms, roll your shoulders back. Bring your legs together. Just give them a good wiggle. So we're not doing a whole lot of seated stuff today. We've got a seated twist, and then we're going to get onto our backs because we're going to continue opening the heart. So we're going to do a super gentle seated twist for now. Easy cross-legged position if you can. Bring your right hand directly behind you onto the floor and your left hand onto your right knee. Keep your shoulders relaxed and your spine straight. Lift up through the crown of the head. And as you exhale, rotate to your right. So this is should be a relatively gentle, easy seated twist. We're just making sure that the spine is relatively neutral before we recline. Rotate back around. We're going to go the other way. Left hand is right behind you. Right hand is on the left knee. Spine is lengthening up. And as we exhale, we twist to the left. Try and keep shoulders relaxed. Try and keep your spine really straight. Again, we're just making sure that we're neutral before we begin the gentler heart openers. And rotate back around. Roll your shoulders back a couple of times. Good. So using your block, we're going to have this underneath our upper back. This is really important. You don't ever want it below your rib cage in the lumbar spine because you could cause injury. So be very mindful of where your block is. Our first position, we're going to put the block so that it runs up the length of our spine. I'm going to be on the middle level, but you don't have to be. You can be at the lowest level if that's better for your back. If you have neck issues, you might want a second block or a pillow or cushion or something to put behind your head. If you're more advanced, you are welcome to go at the highest level, but only after you've been at the mid-level for a few breaths. So let me show you how to set up. And please, 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 it's so important, keep your knees bent as you do this today. I'm going to kind of rotate to this side. So here's what I do. The bottom edge of the block, I actually hold it where I need it to be, which is at the bottom edge of my rib cage, not down in my low back, but higher up. And then I just go ahead and recline back and make sure that's in the right spot. Keep my knees bent, feet flat. Allow my back to open out over the block and then relax my neck and find a comfortable angle for my arms with the palms up. Those of you with neck issues, you may want to put a block under your head. If you need to flip the block to a flat level, go for it. If you're in this position and it feels extra yummy and your back is happy and you'd like to take the block to the highest level, you are welcome to do that too. Once you find your place, my request is that you relax. Allow the block to support your heart. Allow everything else to melt around it. We're going to take 3 more breaths here if you can. Nice slow breaths. Now it's very important as we exit the block, not to pull up with the head or the chest, but rather to just kind of roll off to one side, doesn't matter which way. Use a hand to press yourself back up. So we're not quite done. What we're going to do now is switch the orientation of the block 90 degrees. So on that one, we had it running up and down the length of the spine. Now we're gonna have it running across. So what I'm gonna do is just flip my block 90 degrees, but I'm gonna set up so that it is in the same place on my back, not in the low back. So I make sure that as I recline back, this block is kind of up around the bottom of my shoulder blades. I keep my knees bent with my feet flat. Remember, you can go flat level, mid-level, or even high. Allow your back to melt over the block so that your heart can melt open. Any angle of the arms is fine. Feel free to play with that. Get your best stretch and then relax. Support your neck if you need to. And simply breathe and soften. Couple more breaths here. All right, same thing applies. Do not sit up using your head. Roll off your block to one side, doesn't matter which side. Go ahead and just press yourself up enough that you can grab your block. Move it out of the way, but within reach. Roll onto your back, hug your knees in and rock side to side. So the deeper you hug your knees in, the more you'll notice this is kind of like a forward bend, right? So this is your counter pose. So just enjoy a really deep knee squeeze. Maybe rolling side to side. Take a couple more breaths. And then we're going to use our block for a supported bridge. So I want you to put your feet down just like you would for bridge. Big toes touch, heels are separated. And your feet are pretty close to your backside. So it depends upon you and your back. If you need today to be really gentle, you're going to go at the flat level, but it goes across your pelvis, right? Or you can go mid-level. And then again, some of you, if you're more advanced, you're welcome to go high, but only after you've been at mid for a little bit. So get your block at whatever level you want. Lift your hips. Slide the block up underneath your sacrum, the back of your pelvis. The block is never in the low back. You should feel relatively neutral. You should feel the bottom points of your rib cage protruding. And then just allow yourself, again, to kind of relax into the pose. So there's a little bit of effort involved in keeping the chest lifted, but it shouldn't be a strenuous effort. You should feel like you can kind of let go here, letting the whole front side of the body open. And again, those of you that are a little more advanced, if you choose, you're welcome to flip the block to the higher level. But if that's uncomfortable, don't go there. We're here for about 5 more breaths. Now, wherever you're at on the block, what I'd like you to do is get it situated at the lowest level underneath your sacrum, but ever so slightly closer to your tailbone than it was for bridge. Let your legs float up, allow the pelvis to tilt, and simply relax in Vipariti Karani, which is legs up the wall, but in this case without the wall. So if your block is in the right spot, there is zero effort involved in having the legs up. If you feel like you're having to hold your legs up, play with where on the block your hips are. Couple more breaths here. And just slowly bring your feet back down to the mat. Lift your hips, remove your block, pardon me, and put your block underneath your head at the flattest level. So now it's kind of like a pillow. Extend your legs straight out onto the floor. Feel your way into having your face parallel to the floor, so you don't want the chin up towards the ceiling, and you also don't want it tucked into your collarbone. We're going to roll our thighs inwards, so the knees are looking at each other. Reach the hands straight up for the ceiling, and then lift the chest. So basically what you're doing is pushing through your buns and the back of your head just to get the rib cage off the ground. Take a couple of breaths. This will totally decompress your neck if it got strained at all during those restorative heart openers. Take 2 more breaths here. And then lower down, take the block out from under your head, put it at the skinniest level between your knees. Knees are bent, and by the way, you're welcome to hug them and rock for a moment. And then we're just going to do our final gentle twist with the block between the knees. Drop both knees to the right, let the left arm open out to the left, turn your head to the left. So this is a really gentle spinal twist, but notice how the left side of your chest feels. Notice how your heart feels. On your next inhale, bring the legs back up. As you exhale, drop them over to your left. Let the right arm open out to the right. Same thing on this side. It's a spinal twist, but notice how the right side of your chest and your heart feels. On your next inhale, bring your legs back up. Take the block out from between your knees and just set it off to the side. You're done. Feet are going to come so that the soles of the feet are together on the mat. The knees are going to drop open. Take a big inhale. Press your low back into the mat. Let's do our final low back lengthener. Hold it, hold it. On your next exhale, relax, let the curve come back into your spine, and then one last time. Inhale, flatten your back. Exhale and release, and just like that, extend your legs, separate your feet. Make sure you have space between your shoulder blades. Make sure your hands are below your shoulders, preferably with your palms up. Big inhale through the nose. Big exhale through the mouth. Giving your body permission to completely release into Shavasana. Feel all of your muscles relaxing. Feel your breath softening. Feel how the mind and the emotions just become calm. So when we open the heart and create space, we're basically making room for everything. All the emotions, all the sensations, all the feelings, they all have space to coexist. So no single particular emotion or feeling can overpower us because there's room for everything. So then we can remain on a very even keel. We can remain calm and centered. So this is part of the purpose of our practice, is to create this equanimity, this calm, this peace. And so just beginning to feel how that sense of calm and peace has permeated every cell of your physical body. Really tune back into your physical body. Begin to move the fingers and toes a little bit as you deepen your breath. When you're ready, inhale deeper, spread the fingers and toes. Exhale with a sigh as you relax them. Inhale, stretch out to your fullest length, and then exhale again through the mouth with a sigh as you relax. Take your time. You can bend your knees, either hugging them in or just letting the feet rest on the floor. When you're ready, roll to your right side. And then from there, you can use your left hand in front of your chest and press yourself up to sitting. So finding your comfortable, straight, aligned spine, just like we had at the beginning of class. Take a moment to just check in. What changed, if anything? So we're going to do a different pranayama today. You can just let your hands rest wherever you would like them to be. They can be in your lap or on the knees or thighs. We're simply going to be breathing in and out of the heart. And I want you to think of it almost as a circular breath that you are breathing in and out of your own heart, feeding yourself as well as the rest of the world. And so what that might look like, if you can visualize it, is that you are breathing in through the front side of your chest and out through the back, the upper back. And what breathes out circles back around and comes back in through the heart. So it's almost like you are the center of a vortex. So envision that however you can, or feel it or sense it. Just nice, slow, deep ujjayi breaths through the nose as you inhale through the front of your heart and exhale through the back. As you finish out this next breath, just let your breath return to normal. Notice if that particular breath pattern changed anything for you mentally, emotionally, or energetically. And then bring your palms together in front of your heart, your beautiful open heart. And have gratitude for that. Gratitude for the physical heart muscle that pumps and distributes blood and oxygen throughout your entire body. But also for your beautiful, energetic, and spiritual heart that holds love, that gives love, that receives love, that shares your unique gifts with the world. Take one more huge breath in through the nose. Big, happy sigh. Bringing palms together at our foreheads, we're reminded to be present, to stay in the moment. Bringing palms together in front of our mouths, we're reminded to speak our truth. Bringing palms together in front of our hearts, we're reminded to keep them open, to always work to keep them open so that we can experience kindness, compassion, and unconditional love. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. Namaste.